Bibliophiles of the internet, my name's Adriana, and today I'm here to finally bring you my fourth quarter book haul, aka the final book haul of 2019. This video is going to cover everything from October till the end of December. It was a wild time for new releases and gifts and book sales. I'm going to go through these fairly quickly, so let's just jump right in. First up, since October was my birthday month, I got two Book of the Month selections, the first of which was The Water Dancer by Ta-Nehisi Coates. This is a blend of historical fiction and fabulism. It's about Hiram, whose mother was sold away, and he was granted these mysterious powers on that same day, powers that later save his life when he finds himself drowning. The story follows his journey as he tries to escape from the Virginia plantation he's always known while trying to make his way back to his family. My second selection was Fate of the Fallen by Kel Cade. This is a new take on the classic epic fantasy stories that use the Chosen One trope. It was pitched as like, what if Samwise Gamgee had to finish the mission in Frodo's place? Basically, the main character, Aslo, has to unwillingly step in when the Chosen One gets a little too reckless and actually considers surrendering to the evil forces. Then on my birthday, I got to see Nina Varela in conversation with Audrey Coulthurst, and she signed my copy of Criers War at the event. This is Own Voice's queer SFF about a world where androids known as Automa have risen to power, and there's a human servant named Ayla who seeks revenge for her family and all the other human lives that have been lost. But she begins to fall for the Sovereign's Autome daughter, whom she serves, which complicates her plans for vengeance. In October, I also met Leigh Bardugo at an event for her newest release, Neihaus. This is her adult debut. It's a twisted, dark academia story about a girl who goes to Yale University, where the secret societies there are gatekeeping occult magic for the rich and elite. On that same night, I also got Slay by Brittany Morrison. This is an Own Voices YA story about Kira, a black teenager who's developed this secret MMORPG game known as Slay, but when someone is killed over a dispute relating to the game, Slay is brought into the national spotlight and people are labeling it as violent, exclusionist, and racist. So it's up to Kira to defend the world she's created and try to protect the game without losing herself in the process. And the last book I got that night was Are You Listening by Tilly Walden. Tilly Walden wrote On a Sunbeam. This is her latest queer comic about Bee, who's on the run, and she meets Lou in a chance encounter as they journey through Texas. I believe they're both victims of sexual assault, and as they travel together, they begin to open up to each other and genuinely connect. Then thanks to the NB Book Club, I won a copy of Space Between by Nico Tortorella. Nico is a non-binary actor and activist. This is their memoir about how their desire for fame eclipsed their personal journey and sent them on a path of addiction and self-destruction before they were freed by discovering and embracing their queerness. Then, of course, I had to get my own copy of My Time Among the Whites by Janine Capot-Crusette. This is an incredible collection of nonfiction essays about the author, who is the daughter of Cuban refugees, as she explores the places where the personal, the political, and the seemingly mundane are shaped by the facets of whiteness. Then my lovely friend Lupita from Maija Reads was kind enough to pass along two arcs, the first of which was Carmen Maria Machado's In the Dream House. Carmen Maria Machado is a queer Latinx writer, and this memoir uses classic tropes to render a powerful, surreal account of a deeply abusive relationship with a woman from Machado's past. Lupita also sent along an arc copy of How We Fight for Our Lives by Saeed Jones. Saeed Jones is a black queer poet, and this is his memoir that explores his experiences with race and queerness and is ultimately about what we do for and to each other as we fight to become ourselves. Then I found a great sale for Famous in a Small Town by Emma Mills. I got this kind of impulsively because it has one of my favorite buzzwords, which is marching bands. It's about this high school marching band trying to fundraise enough money to perform in the Rose Parade, and the main character's plan is to enlist the help of a famous country artist who grew up in the same small town to headline the fundraising event. Then my best friend Steven treated me to a couple of things from Kinokuniya for my birthday, the first of which was Volume 1 of Classmates by Nakamura Asumiko. This is a queer slice-of-life manga about Rihito, a hyperventilating overachiever who somehow ends up at this high school with really low academic standards, and he starts getting tutored by this quote-unquote helpless idiot, Hikaru, and the two of them begin to actually connect. Steven also kindly got me a copy of Full Metal Alchemist, the complete 4-panel comics by Hiromu Arakawa. Full Metal Alchemist is one of my all-time favorite series, and this is basically a bind-up of the short, funny comics at the end of each volume, as well as special Japanese exclusive comics and comics that came with the DVD releases. After that, I was given a Target gift card for my birthday, and the first book I bought was The Forgotten Girl by India Hill Brown. It's an Own Voices middle grade story about Iris, who's playing in the woods when she uncovers an abandoned grave, and she realizes the gravesite dates back to the segregation era when black graveyards and white graveyards were kept separate. So she is trying to find a way to restore this girl's grave and finally pay her the proper respect. And the second book I bought with my gift card was Twice in a Blue Moon by Christina Lauren. It's a second chance romance about Tate, the long-lost daughter of a huge movie star, and she entrusted that secret to her first love only to have him betray that trust. Now, years later, she's an up-and-coming actress, and the last thing she expects is to run into this very same guy her first day on set. Then my November book of the month selection was Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert. This is Talia Hibbert's first traditionally published romance. It's an own voices story about Chloe Brown, a chronically ill computer geek who basically has a list of ways she wants to shake up her life, and I believe she finds this hot motorcyclist who's going to help her check off everything on her list. Then the folks at Bloomsbury Children sent me an arc of The Gravity of Us by Phil Stamper. This is an upcoming own voices queer YA story about Cal, an aspiring journalist and social media star whose life gets turned upside down when his father is chosen to be an astronaut in a groundbreaking mission to Mars. The whole family moves to Texas and gets thrust into this reality show nightmare, but it's there that Cal starts to fall for another astro kid named Leon and realizes that he can use his voice to showcase the unsung NASA heroes. And then yes, I did get the UK edition of Call Down the Hawk by Maggie Stiefvater. This is a companion slash spin-off to The Raven Cycle, all about Ronan Lynch. Obviously, for those who know the series, Ronan is a dreamer, which means he can manipulate dream space and dream objects, and I think this story explores other people who have that same ability. Then of course I have pre-ordered the special edition of Queen of Nothing by Holly Black. This is the finale to The Cruel Prince. It's basically about Jude, whose parents are killed by a fairy, and she's taken to live in the fairy world where she's constantly made to remember that she is breakable and weak. And it's about her journey to attain power over this magical, dangerous world that she so desperately loves. Then my library actually gifted me an ARC copy of Tristan Strong Punches a Hole in the Sky by Kwame Mbalia. This is an own voices middle grade fantasy adventure about Tristan Strong, who's chased by a creature that steals one of his most personal possessions, and he accidentally ends up punching a hole in the sky that opens a rift to another world where he has to find a way to enlist the help of the trickster god Anansi to seal the chasm between universes. After that, Penguin Teen kindly sent me an arc of The Queen's Assassin by Melissa de la Cruz. It's a YA fantasy romance between a royal assassin named Kaladin, whose life has been promised to the queen in exchange for retrieving these magical scrolls of knowledge, and a young girl named Shadow who's been called to serve in the royal court, but who is determined to instead become Cal's apprentice, whether he accepts or not. Then I actually won a signed and personalized arc of Spell Hacker by M.K. England. This is their upcoming own voices queer SFF release about a world where magic known as Maz is heavily regulated by the government, and the main character, Diz, works with a small crew to illegally siphon Maz for a price. When the team accidentally discovers a new strain of Maz, they find themselves on the run from the government while also trying to expose the connection between this new strain and a devastating illness. Then the Booknet Fest crew did a gift exchange which we called Secret Satan, and my Secret Satan got me Laura Dean Keeps Breaking Up With Me by Mariko Tamaki. This is a queer comic that explores toxic relationships. The main character, Freddie, is dating her dream girl, the ultra-popular Laura Dean, but as she begins to lose her connection to her friends and herself, Freddie is starting to wonder how she can regain control of this relationship and her life. Then for Christmas, Stephen got me The World of Ruby by Daniel Wallace. This is the definitive behind-the-scenes guide to Ruby, one of my all-time favorite series, and I fully intend to read this cover to cover. It has a ton of great information about the characters and the teams and the world building, and it is a truly, truly beautiful book. After that, I used another Target gift card to finally get Sorted by Jackson Bird. Jackson Bird is an incredible YouTuber. This is his memoir about coming to terms with his queerness and transness and his journey to coming out as a trans man in his mid-20s. It's an amazing memoir that is equal parts emotional and informative, and I highly recommend it. And finally, the first exciting book I received from my family for Christmas was Reverie by Ryan LaSala. This is a fantastic own voices queer SFF debut about Kane Montgomery, who was found at the site of a horrible accident, but he can't recall how he got there in the first place. With the help of some strangers who claim to be his friends, Kane learns how to navigate these surreal alternate universes known as reveries to uncover the truth about the forces he's really up against. And lastly, I was gifted a copy of The Starless C by Erin Morgenstern. I believe this is a fantastical adventure about Zachary, who's been searching for this door his whole life, and his search leads him to this mysterious book that impossibly contains a story from his own childhood, and I believe he goes on a journey to find out what this book really is. So there you have it. Those are all the books I collected between October and the end of December. As always, if you've read any of these yourself, feel free to leave me a comment down below or let me know which of these books you think I should read and review first. But that's everything I have for this haul today. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope that you enjoyed it, and I'll catch you on the flip side of the page.